How the heck are you, everybody? I'm Fastidious. Welcome to my channel and welcome to our second class-specific artifact tier list. We are talking tanks today. You might recognize some of these artifacts at the bottom of your screen. In case you missed it, I am doing a series that is going to culminate in my official master tier list for all the normal artifacts in the game. Exclusives will be a different story, but that should come out in less than a week now. We kicked things off 2 days ago with our fighter tier list. You guys really seem to like it, but the same thing I said in that one will go for this one. These are subjective opinions. Obviously, I've tested these all out and played with them for countless hours, hundreds, maybe thousands of hours. So I do think I have some legitimate opinions, but if you disagree with anything or you want to shed any more light on some of these artifacts, let me know in the comments. Without further ado, we are talking defenders, we are talking tanks, artifact tier list. Let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
So guys, as I discuss each artifact, we are going to show it and present it on the screen with it at level 1 and level 6. So that's at 0 stars of promotion and then max 5 stars of promotion. This is just to show you, its base level versus its full potential when you max it out. And we're going to just go alphabetically. It's as simple as that. If you see me looking over here, that's because I'm reading off the descriptions. I do know what they all do, but I can't memorize all the descriptions verbatim. So without further ado, we're starting with A, and that's going to be the Astral Obelisk. We're going straight to S tier, baby. I know that might be a little controversial. I know my boy Destin does not love this artifact. I do love this artifact. I think it's supremely strong, and on the right hero, which actually can be many heroes, not just like Constants, which some people think, it is super duper strong. I mean, 50% rage regen is nothing to sneeze at, so let's read it through. At level 1, this is base promotion, no stars of promotion. Attack increases by 5 stars. After receiving healing, increases rage regen by 25%. 4 or 5 seconds. There's no cooldown on this. So if you keep receiving healing, you'll just keep maintaining that rage regen increase, that rage regen boost. And if you have someone like Consant, this is an obvious kind of no-brainer artifact for Constant. She's constantly healing herself when she's healing everyone in her range, because it includes herself, as long as she's not blocking someone and stops healing. Then at max promo, this goes all the way up to 50% rage regen. 50% rage regen. Also, even if it's not constant, if you just have a normal tank that's taking any semblance of damage with any frequency, right, and there's a healer in range, they might be healed every 5 seconds. It's pretty likely they could be healed in every 5 seconds for certain pieces of content, right? I mean, 50% rage regen is really significant. So let's just talk constants. Not every artifact here, by the way, every defender artifact will need to be discussed so extensively, but this is such a good one, and it's one of my absolute favorites, so I am going to get into it. When it comes to constants, you might be thinking, so it's only 5% attack, right? You can get 16% attack from Keen Wisdom. And I'm not saying for all pieces of content this will be best in slot for constants, but for a lot it will be over Keen Wisdom. So you're losing 11% attack boost applied post-deployment. So that is rough. That is rough, right? Like that difference, let's say you had 10,000 attack on her. Obviously you'll have more, probably, I hope, when you have her build out properly. But let's say you had 10,000 attack, you're missing out on 1,100 attack extra, that with just that difference. That's rough, but it's not as simple as that, because you're also getting a nice chunk extra because these mythic artifacts have way more base stats and the base HP they lend you and the base attack. On top of that, she's going to be ulting a lot more. So in longer battles, when she gets that rage regen boost that she's giving herself when she's healing herself, it needs to be content that she takes damage in. But as long as that is happening, she's going to be ulting more. You're going to be getting inspiration, having more uptime because it's occurring more frequently. So I do think for a lot of content that trade-off pays off way, way more. And also the difference in attack because of the increased base stats, especially when it's at max promo, it's basically a wash. It is just better. On other heroes, and I'm not going to spend this long on every artifact. This is just my favorite one is the first one. On other heroes, like Regulus, amazing ult. Brokir, amazing ult. Gone, amazing ult. Not all those guys need the attack, but it's only 5% attack. Ignore that. The received healing, which they probably will receive healing in the right pieces of content, you need to use it in the right spots. Their 50% rage regen increase is just amazing. You want those amazing heroes ulting. I will say, someone like Olag, who we almost never use his ult, except now we kind of do in the tank codex. But for Olag, yeah, this isn't going to be good on him. But yeah, someone like Brokir, you want that boy ulting. Someone like Gon, you want that guy ulting. I'm not saying it's best in slot for them in all content, but there is stuff where like this is best in slot for Regulus. I truly do believe that. So it's a great artifact. It's starting off right there, comfortably in S. On to the next one, and we are going to talk about, it's crazy, we're really starting piping hot. We're going alphabetically, what can I say? Our only S+, and this is amazing. It's the Bastion Ring. Kind of speaks for itself. Let me read it to you. Increases block by 1, this is at level 1, at base promo. Increases physical damage reduction and magic damage reduction, so could just say all damage reduction, by 4% for every blocked unit, stacking up to 4 times. Then at max promo, increases block by 1, that stays the same. Everything stays the same, except every blocked unit up to 4 times, you're getting 9%. So you can have all damage reductions up 36%. I mean, that is crazy. Something you need to know, and this will come up later when we talk about some of these other artifacts, is knowing the formulas in the game now. When it comes to damage reductions, it is not multiplicative, it is additive. So it's literally just like, it's not you get this, like 1 point this times more. It is just you get plus that much % more. If you had a maxed out Bastion Ring on them and they were blocking 4 units, which they can do because every defender's base block is at least 3, you add the increased block from the thing, from its at first line of the ability, increases block by 1. That's an extra 36. It's just added on top of that 10%, and it can be added the whole way up. I think it caps somewhere in the 90s. I'd have to go back and look, but it's insanely high. I think you can go up to 99% if I'm not mistaken. I can check with Terran, but no question, that 10% will just be additive straight up to 46% because you put the 36% on top of it. That is crazy. It's even stronger than we used to think it is. It's best in slot for so many tanks in so many pieces of content. It is not always best in slot, right? Like Olag, it's almost always best in slot, except if you need a little healing, or like me for Artifact from Tier 8 18, we're going to talk about the North's Will lately, that could slide in. But for so many heroes, for so many tanks, for so many defenders, in so much content, it is the best in the game. And this was true before Tank Codex arrived. And now that Tank Codex arrived, I mean, this is a must. It is a no-brainer. Tank Codex is how many people can you block? If you put this on everyone like I do on my team, everyone blocks it 1 more. It's as simple as that. It's freaking arithmetic. It's tremendous. This is the best artifact in the game for defenders. It's super universal. It's super amazing. On to the next one. We've got Bloodlust Phylactery. Now one that's not as hype. So it increases the damage, this is at base promo, increases damage permanently by 1% when damage is taken, stacks up to 15 times. Exactly the same at max, except now it can stack to 25 times. Every level of promotion, it can get another 2 times of stacking. So 25% increased damage, it's cool. Damage dealing is not really what you think about when it comes to these tanks, but it's nice. I mean, it can be useful. It's not totally necessary, and we do have a better damage dealing mythic artifact that I certainly prefer. It's not useless, but it's not so useful, at least right now in the game. I've literally never used it personally on my account. I'm going to have an artifact cleanse guide come out probably in 2 or 3 weeks once we've had a breather. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments. But this is the example of one that I just keep, anyone that I'm not going to use or don't see myself using in the near future, I just keep 2 copies. I keep them at level 1 and I'll revisit in the future. This is like the perfect example of that. Nothing has ever arrived in the game where I was like, you know what, I need to use it. Could you put it on your Reeve because you want to get some more damage? Could you put it on Gone? Sure, but for both of them, there's a better option. I'm going to say it is just solidly and decidedly C tier. Some people might disagree with that. I just think it's not really useful. It's super niche, and it's not even best in slot for the thing it's niche for almost every situation I can think of. So all in all, I just don't love it. I like the new name. I don't remember what it used to be called, but it certainly was not called Bloodlust Phylactery. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. On to the next one, we're at Death Knell, and now we're in the trash range. There's a lot of trash artifacts in this class, in the Defender class with the tanks, and this one's trash. It really is, and I'm going to explain why, but we'll do it pretty quickly because it's just trash. When the hero's deployed, increases defense by 5%, full stop. When the hero's HP drops below 40% or below, instantly restores 15% HP. This effect can be triggered up to 1 time max per deployment, and the next one it's at max promotion at level 6, those 5 stars of promotion. Basically, it's exactly the same, except 2 of the 2 key numbers change. So the increase initially on deployment is 15% instead of 5. I mean, 5% was a joke. And then the restore of HP when you drop below that 40% threshold is 30% instead of 15%. 15% one time per deployment was also kind of a joke. This artifact's just terrible. Like, it really is. If you want to get defense, there's 2 way better ways to do it. One of them is way better for getting extra defense on your heroes. And then if you are in this situation where defense is completely outclassed by HP in this game, like completely. We have a couple of defense-based damage healers. We have 1 defense-based healer. It's a wash with everything. It's just not necessary. Like, you're not putting this on your Gone, let's be honest. You're not probably using your Azor, certainly not for damage, let's be honest, or I don't think you are. And there's already 2 better options, and one of them, I'll just tell you, Goddess Grace, that's going to come up in a second, is so much better. But then this heal, you might be thinking like, well, I drop into that under that HP threshold under 40%, and I get a nice heal. If you're I can't think of a situation where you've got a hero that needs defense, but also you're taking damage consistently enough that it's precarious enough that your tank is going to drop below 40%, but you need that 30% heal, or at base level, this paltry 1 time per deployment, 15% heal, and that makes the difference. I cannot theory craft in my head a moment where this is usable. It's bad. Full stop. It is bad. The D stands for dang. That's bad. The D in Death Knell. I don't know what I'm talking about. I need to get some sleep. All right, here we go. Goddess Grace. I told you it's coming up quick. This is just so much better. Increases defense by 10% just on deployment, as opposed to 5% on deployment. When it's maxed out, it's 15% on deployment, which is the same, but the rest is so much better if you're just trying to build defense. So at base promo, 10% on deployment, and then gains 3% defense bonus for every 10 seconds on the battlefield. So just after 30 seconds, because it only can be 3 stacks, you're maxed out. Amazing, right? So just do the math. 3 stacks at 3% every 10 seconds. So after 30 seconds, it's plus 9%. There you go. 19% at base promo. Way better than this. Plus, you're getting a much nicer HP contribution because it's a mythic artifact as opposed to a legendary artifact. And that's going to have, much higher the base HP and then the base attack, which doesn't matter too much. But the base HP that it gives to your hero is just much nicer. Then at max promo, it's way better. So even at base promo, it's better. And you will get it. These drop. You'll get it over time. It's just way better. The defense bonus for every 10 seconds now, it's going to stack by 5% defense bonuses. So 3 stacks, each one worth 5%. So now you've got 15% on deployment. Really nice. And then you get an extra 15% after 30 seconds. 30% increased defense. Really nice for any defender that needs defense. There's really only 2. You could say Azor because his damage scales off defense, but his damage is doo-doo poo-poo. However, Gone, amazing. This is going to be, for certain content, best in slot for Gone, no question. Not all content, in my opinion, but certain stuff, if you just want him dealing damage, 30% is 30%. Imagine, think about how powerful a Tier of Twilight is, giving 30% increased attack to your mages. This is kind of the tank version, giving 30% increased defense to your Gone. However, this requires you having Gone. Very hard to come by. And also, it's not his best in slot for everything, in my opinion. But it's simple. After 30 seconds at max out, you have a 30% defense boost. Also, it works well on Mariel. Not necessarily always the best on Mariel, I would say. But if you just want, and also, how many of us are dying to use Mariel? I used her for faction trials. But she's a defense-based healer, and she's a defender. So give her 15% or 30%, or I guess 19% or 30% increased defense. It's not a bad thing. It's simple. It does the trick. It's not too sexy. It's a B. It's a B, and it's so much better than Death Knell. Moving right along, we've got Heart of Thorn. Now, this is one that I really don't like. I don't like it at all. Now, we really start off piping hot with the Bastion Ring and the Astral Obelisk. This is rough. All right, when taking damage, there's an 8% chance. An 8% chance. That's not much. That's 1 every 12 and a half times. 8% chance when taking damage, when receiving damage, of dealing damage back equal to 10% max HP to the attacker. Then when you max it out, when taking damage, there's now a 13% chance, ooh la la, of dealing damage equal to 20% max HP to the attacker. Let's be honest, most of us are building our units with, I'd say 80k later on in the game, 80k to 100k HP. From everything I've tested and my understanding, this cannot crit. So if you have 100k HP, every time you are hit, there's a 13% chance, and this is at max promotion, that you're dealing 20k damage. 20% of your HP is going to be 20k, and that's as damage. 20k damage. Come on, dude. This is a fart. This one's a big old fart. I really hate it. And you're gonna go below the Death Knell. Where did I even put the Death Knell? Oh my god, did I lose it? There's the Death Knell. I didn't even touch it before. And then I actually think, yeah, Heart of Thorn, even worse somehow. I think this one's unusable. You let me know if you disagree. I think it is just trash. And you might have noticed in the fired one, you might be noticing now, there's no F. Because technically none of them are F. F means that you shouldn't even use it. If it's all you have, you should use it. All your heroes should wear artifacts, and technically at the beginning of the game, you won't have enough artifacts for all of them to wear artifacts, so for that reason, I've elected to not have any artifacts rated F. If you disagree, let me know. D is as low as we're going to go. You also might be noticing, aside from S+, which is more just God tier, right? Nothing has a plus or a minus. I don't think there's that much nuance in this. We'll do the ordering within each letter, but it's my call. So you let me know what you think, and I'm always open to suggestions. On to the next, Nightmare Serpent. So this is one I had to revisit for this video. I'm kind of impressed. It's better than I thought. So at base promo at level 1, no rank up promotions, taking damage 5 times, restores HP equal to 3% max HP. This can take effect only 1 time every 4 seconds. Then at max promo, everything is exactly the same except for 2 key things. Now it's taking damage 3 times, and the HP restore is 6%. If you are in content where you're being hit a lot, you certainly can be restoring 6% max HP every 4 seconds whenever the cooldown ends, the 4-second cooldown. I mean, that is a lot. That is a lot, and it can happen really frequently. It's going to be like a niche thing where you're getting badgered by you're blocking a few guys, your defender's blocking a few guys, and you're kind of getting badgered frequently. But I mean, that is significant. That could provide a lot of a sustain if you just build your unit with tons of HP. If you're thinking like a legendary unit like a Brokir or a Regulus that a lot of people use, that I use all the time, you can totally build them with like 110, 120k HP. I mean, that's something. Like even if you build them with 100k HP, so it's like a 6k heal every 4 seconds. I like it. I really do. I think it's going to be decidedly B, and I do think it's going to be better than Goddess's Grace because I think it's going to have just more universality, more universal appeal, more universal usage, if that makes sense. Because I think this could really help you in like the mid game. A lot of these legendary artifacts you'll never think about again except for 1 and kind of 2 that we'll get to later. So it's like, are they going to help you progress? And I think this really, really could. Whereas Goddess's Grace is just so shockingly niche, even if it is specifically useful for one thing. I like it. I really like it. I hadn't looked at it in months, probably. I haven't used it since I was doing much earlier account stuff, but I like it. I really do. So it's going to be top of B. On to the next, we got Regal Crest. I don't like it at all. It's going to be really easy for me to explain to you guys. So with no promotions, received healing by that defender is going to be 20%. So that defender, anytime they're healed by anybody, 20% more. And then at max, 40% more. Simple as that. Don't like it. If your defender's in a situation or your healer's in a situation where they're not competent enough or your defender's not tanky enough and it needs that extra received healing, I think you've got a lot of other problems with your builds and with your artifacts. And I don't see this ever moving the needle, like ever. I really, really, really don't like it. Again, I could be mistaken, but I can think of so many more accessible options that I think will outclass this. Again, if you think I'm wrong, let me know. I'm going to put this at the bottom of C. I'm going to put this below the Bloodlust Phylactery. You can see there's actually a lot of trash. There's a lot of trash in this class of heroes, in the defenders. I don't like it one bit. We don't have a single A yet. They're coming, but we don't have any yet. So on to the next, we've got Rex's Vow. Speaking of an A, like I told you, damage reductions are additive, and that's where this completely shot up in my estimation of it. I think since I learned that and I've tested it, it's so much better than I thought. So at base level, at level 1, no promotions, reduces damage taken by 10% when protected by a shield, and then at max, reduces damage taken by 20% when protected by a shield. If you do this right, it is additive. You put it on the kind of hero that already has some damage mitigations. Maybe they're Awakened 4 and they've earned some of that. Maybe they have it in a passive. Maybe they have it in an ult. Maybe they're a Northerner and they're shielded a lot because they're with a Northern Lord that provides those shields. Maybe they're with a legendary Northern Lord and they're not a Northerner, but those guys provide shields to everyone. Or maybe there's someone like Baron who shields himself all the time, even though he's not a Northerner. There's a lot of ways that a lot of these defenders get shields. Another just plus 20% damage reduction is legit. That shield's not busting. It's going to last as long as it's supposed to last, depending on what hero it is. This is a really good artifact. I'm just finishing maxing one out on my account. I have used it, and it all does come down to the fact that that damage reduction is additive. Pretty sweet. It just really is. There's really nothing more to say. It just does the job. It's nice and simple. I love a simple line of text that just is enjoyable and useful, and that's what it is. It's an A. All right, getting towards the end here, we have the Solar Embrace. Don't love this one. However, I told you there was one other artifact that gave you defense that was better than the Death Knell besides Goddess Grace. This one's not as good as Goddess Grace, but it's better than Death Knell. And it's going to be when taking damage, defense is increased by 12% for 3 seconds. So as long as you're taking damage for any period of time, and again, guys, this doesn't have a cooldown or anything, so it can just keep restacking. So as long as you're taking damage every 3 seconds, you will get the max benefit of this. So at base promo, it is 12%. Max out, it is 22%. 20% is something, right? It's pretty good. It's better than the Goddess Grace at base promo. You'd have to max this thing out, and you would be losing the base stat that you get from the Goddess Grace. However, these only give attack. Artifacts only give attack and HP. So, I mean, it's something. I don't love it, but it's certainly something. Solar Ember, I guess it's perfect right there at the top of D. Doesn't it just look perfect right there? Let's continue. Now here's the one that broke my heart. This is the artifact that broke my heart, and this artifact is maxed out on my account. It is plus 25, not just like plus 22 max promotion. I made it plus 25 because I thought it would just be perfect for my constants as I tried to get top 100 in the Styx boss for the Lord of the Styx Codex with the Zealous guy. It didn't work for that. It's still usable, so it's not as trash as I thought it was once I realized it wasn't working, and then me and Destin actually talked about this one for a while because we both kind of were hating on it. However, it does have a use, and I'll talk to you about it. It's strange. There's 3 different numbers here that you can see they're in blue, and they all change as you promote it. So this one's kind of the reason why I wanted to show every artifact at no promotions and max promotions, because this one totally changes. So at base promo, you lose 20% of your max HP. They're penalizing you for the benefit of an increase of 8% attack and attack speed by 30. When you max up, that reduction is a pretty small, only 5% of your max HP, and then the increase in attack is slightly higher, 25% higher at 10%, and the increase in attack speed is 20 higher at 50. So I read this, and I was like, you know what? My Consant doesn't need HP. She's fine. She's got good stats, 10% attack. Once this is promoted up with the higher base stats this has than Keen Wisdom, which is 16%, but in Epic, it's probably a wash because we're getting more of just the base attack contribution from this artifact. And then we get 50 attack speed. So I was thinking 50 attack speed, that's really great, right? We're going to get more hits out on Zealous, and that's going to be really good. Didn't work. Even though she was blocking Zealous, and when she blocks heroes, she's supposed to start attacking them. That didn't happen. She didn't deal not even 1 point of damage. So there was no hits, so we were not contributing to taking that shield down. Useless. So I was thinking, all right, so it's total trash. It isn't though, because you might have a hero like a Constance, or even like a Reeve that's dealing damage, and you're like, it'd be nice, a little more attack speed. It is cool. The max HP reduction as you level it up is not much. Granted, you do have to promote it up a bunch. It's severely disappointing because I thought it'd be a lot cooler. Also, when I saw this at level 1 with the 8%, Keen Wisdom starts the epic artifact, the one we love, formerly known as Ancestral Teaching, starts at 8%, and it climbs up to 16% by max promotion. I thought maybe this was going to be 16% plus a little a kicker of some attack speed. But no, it went up 2% right away, and then it stays there through all more promotions. So I kept promoting it. I should have started it on test server, but I did it on my account. Continued promoting it, thinking it would eventually get higher, and the attack stayed right there at 10%. All in all, it's a disappointment. When it was added, I thought it looked really cool. It is not good. However, it's not D. We're going to put it, let's put it in between the Bloodlust Phylactery and the Regal Crest. I don't love it. It broke my heart, but I'm not going to hold it against it. I'm not going to put it in D. To wrap it up now, we got a couple more, and now we've got an amazing one, and our second and final S of the day, and that is going to be the North's Will. If you're not familiar with this one, it is decidedly, in my opinion, the single best legendary artifact for defenders in the game. It's simple. So at base promo, whenever a hero loses shield, restores 10% HP. And then at max promo, restores 15% HP. That is significant. It's amazing on Olag because he's constantly using Silver Shield, his auto that is just creating shields. Every time they pop up, he heals. And because he's always shielded, he's not taking much damage. For those little windows he's not shielded, rarely will he be taking 10% HP worth of damage, or certainly 15% when he maxed out. I have maxed one out on my account, so he actually ends up healing himself back up all the time if he ever lost health to begin with. It is so strong. But there's a lot of other guys that use shields, right? Also, you can get shields if you're a Northerner or you're with a legendary Northerner Lord. But you think of someone like Baron, this is really good. Someone like Baroque here, this can be really good. It's just very strong. Not much more to it. I will say one thing, shout out to New Name. You guys can go check out New Name if you don't know him. He tested out, and this, a lot of times when you see restores in this game, almost every time I can think of besides this, restores means that like they're using restore or regenerate to mean it's not a heal, so heal effect doesn't affect it. Not true on this one. New Name tested it. Heal effect affects that HP restoration from the North's Will, so you can get some meaty heals on your Olag if you choose to run him in this artifact, in the North's Will. I really like this one. I've used it a ton. I still use it a ton. It's really strong in AMR, Artifact Material Raid. It is really strong in Void Rift. It's just great. And obviously it's a lot easier to come by than a Bastion Ring because it's a legendary and not a mythic. So it's going to be an S. I was considering putting it above Astral Obelisk, but Astral Obelisk I really love. I love to use it, but obviously it's not on the level. Neither of these on the level. Bastion Ring is the god. We had the Wailing Skull is the god artifact, the amazing one of the fighters, of the tanks. It's so obvious it's the Bastion Ring. Even more obvious, obviously. It's friggin' obvious. It's the most obvious of any class. Bastion Ring is just reigns supreme over this class of heroes. Let's continue now. We're at the very end. We got 2 more. The Watchguard's Unity. This is one I really like. It's darn simple. I mean, this is the simplest, I think, of every class, of every artifact in the game. It doesn't get simpler than this. Max HP plus 10%. That's at base promo. Max HP plus 20%. That's at max promo. Each promotion brings it up 2% more. It's just that simple. In this game, you need to build stats. You want to build the stats that are good for your heroes. HP is the king stat for your tanks, for your defenders, and get more of it this way. There is a bit of an opportunity cost because you're not getting any extra effects, any extra reductions, nothing like that, but you're getting the best stat and you're getting a nice chunk of it. So 10% at base is solid. I use it all the time in more like early mid-game account takeovers. And then even in like the mid, maybe even early late game, I mean 20% max HP when you max it out. It's nothing to scoff at. I'm going to put this in A, and I'm going to put it right below Rex's Vow because I do think the reductions are better later on, and certainly you're not going to have that much trouble building HP on your units later on when you have good mythic gear, when you've hunted for some decent substats. You're also picking up some flat HP as a substat with HP bonus as a main stat. It's solid, but it falls off, but it's super usable. And finally, the hardest one for me to rank in the whole game, because I don't think I have a great use for it. I haven't used it much at all, but I do like the way it reads. So this is a good one to end on. The Tuning Crystal at base promo. Every 10 basic attacks landed deals AoE physical damage 1 time to 200% of the damage multiplier to at most 5 targets and restores HP by 10% of damage dealt. What a mouthful. A lot of things going on there, a lot of blue numbers, and only one of them changes actually. No, 2 of them change, excuse me. So then at max promo, after every 10 basic attacks landed, deals AoE physical damage 1 time equal to now 250% of the damage multiplier, so each promotion it goes up by 10%. At most to 5 targets, and restores HP for 20% of the damage dealt. So this one I really like. 250% of the damage multiplier, and it can crit. That is significant. 5 targets, that's like basically a proper AoE. It's not even just a simple multi-target at that point. And an HP restoration of 20% of the damage dealt. So if it's on a nice damage dealing hero with a nice multiplier, stat, I should say, that you built up well, you're getting that 250%. 20% of that could be really significant. If this is going to go on like a Reeve or maybe on a Gone, I could see this in some content. If you got really good gear, this might be better than Goddess's Grace on Gone. I don't know. I have to be kind of theory crafty here because I haven't used it much. I was asking people on stream when I was prepping for this, and we kind of all agreed it's decidedly top of A. I don't think we have content right now that it's really going to shine, but I mean, this has potential. And I think if I got Reeve, maybe I could make this thing sing. If you've tested this out a lot, especially if you have a nice damage dealing tank like Reeve or maybe Gone, do let me know. I really like that they're saying it's 250% of the damage multiplier. So they're not saying of attack or HP or defense. They're leaving it up to what the innate damage multiplier of that hero is. And that makes it really versatile, which I really like. So you could put it on a Reeve who's based on attack for his damage, or put it on a Gone who's based on defense. I like this one. I could see it rising a little in the Steam and how I value it. I could see it dropping a little bit, but I like the way this looks. This is going to be my artifact tier list, guys, for tanks. This was a hard one to get excited about. I hope you guys enjoyed it and watched it and shared it with your friends and your mother. Maybe, I don't know, is your mother into Defenders? You'd have to check with her. But we got 3 really fun ones coming up. I think we're going to do Marksman at the end. You guys can let me know. We have Healers, Mages, and Marksman left. I think Marksman's the most interesting. That's why I was thinking of saving it for the end. But yeah, that's going to be that. Thank you so much in advance to Mitchell for editing this. This was super painful again. I thought it was going to go faster. Cutting out all these images and then cutting out all the descriptions that I stacked up and cropped somehow took me 3 hours again. I just need to improve at it. I will say I'm also wearing some of my Into the AM merch. So if you haven't heard about that, you can get the link from the description. It's some pretty sweet stuff. This is comfy as hell. I think it kind of makes me look fit, which is truly an accomplishment. That's like a physical feat of wonder by this clothing brand. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like it, Let me know anything you're thinking in the comments. That whole share it with your mother thing, and I'll see you in the next one.
Fastidious.